As we reported and heard from the man himself, Donald Trump is not backing off those comments he made about John McCain over the weekend. A new poll shows Donald Trump has gained a significant lead in the race for the Republican presidential nomination. He is the favorite among 24% of Republicans in this poll, nearly double the support of his closest competitor, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, at 13%. We are joined now by Rick Davis, John McCain's former campaign manager. Rick, always good to see you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Let's talk first about these poll numbers. Donald Trump at 24%. It would seem, at least according to this one poll, well clear of his Republican rivals. Surprising?
You know, I don't think it's surprising. I mean, Donald Trump has 100% name ID, right? Everybody knows the Donald, whether it's from his business dealings or his, TV shows. So you start with the presumption that he's already better known than the entire field. And then secondarily, the thing you need to understand, too, is that the demographic that he's going after within the Republican primary vote is this sort of right of center, right? And Pat Buchanan, Pat Robertson, these kind of voters have always been very consolidated in the Republican Party, and they're consolidating around Trump.
Isn't there always room for that 15 or 20%, that more bombastic
Sure, they're always
voice?
There. Absolutely. Pitchfork Pat. I mean, he went to Arizona to wage battle against Bob Dole in the Republican primary, and literally people showed up with pitchforks. I don't think they're going to show up at Donald Trump events with pitchforks, but no telling what they'll show up with next.
When you first heard these comments that Trump made to Luntz on Saturday afternoon, what did you think?
I wasn't surprised because they weren't that terribly dissimilar to the comments he'd made the week before about illegal immigration, and the characterization of Hispanics in America. So I knew that he was always going to try and sort of be so bombastic that he'd get the attention that he himself believes he deserves. But what I was surprised is he'd take on an icon like John McCain. The comments made no sense, and the fact that he's stuck by them, and he won't retreat from them, and he really believes in them, tells me one thing that's totally clear, which is he's really disqualified from the commander-in-chief role. Voters go through the roles; they check the box. Can he take care of the economy? Can he, be the commander-in-chief? And they're going to look at this and go, the guy doesn't understand our men and women in uniform, and who would put him in charge of them?
The question now is whether he can disqualify someone else from that role, though. If he runs a third-party candidacy and takes votes away from folks on both sides, more likely the Republican candidates.
Yeah, it's odd that he would use that tactic to try and hold hostage the GOP, right? Well, if you don't give me the nomination, I'm going to run outside your party. And so, but I think in his case, the threat's a real one because he's got his own resources, right? In the past, when people have said that, it's like, good luck raising the money, good luck getting the support. In his case, he may not get the support, but he can raise the money and then, act like a spoiler. I think that should be the #1 message to the GOP right now is this guy's willing to keep your party hostage. Do you really want him running it?
Most of the major Republican candidates now have distanced themselves from these comments and said Trump should apologize and that these comments were silly and ridiculous. You were surprised and disappointed, I think, maybe that Moore didn't address Trump's immigration comments when he announced.
Yeah, look, this is pretty heinous stuff, what he said about John McCain, and frankly, an entire class of veterans who, ultimately served an enormous sacrifice by being captured and had to serve time in prison camps, whether it's in Iraq or Afghanistan or in Vietnam or any other place. What is amazing is it wasn't that dissimilar to the kind of demagoguery that he used when he was talking about immigrants and the fact that illegal immigrants are all a bunch of rapists and, thieves and that kind of thing. And I think that we have to get used to the fact that he's going to push the envelope on what's acceptable in order to get this, group of voters who actually believe what he believes in. And if there isn't an equal and opposite reaction by the rest of the field, then they're ceding quite a bit of activity to him.
If you're a Kasich right now or a Fiorina or someone who's polling around 1 or 2% and is looking to get into this debate, what do you do?
I think you've got to go very strongly and very, very vociferously to articulate an opposite message, because everybody knows that if we don't do better, for instance, in the Hispanic community than we did under Mitt Romney or John McCain, we're not going to win an election on a national basis. And so unless you're out there making that appeal and arguing the point with Donald Trump, he's going to define the GOP. And if he defines the GOP, regardless who gets the nomination, we lose.
How has Donald Trump affected or changed the Republican Party in the past few weeks?
So far, not at all. Maybe energized it. Maybe got its mojo back. And if everyone engages and focuses on the fact that we really have this great brand that we want to maintain, then they get in the race and they start pushing back on this kind of demagoguery. I think that's really a positive.
You've spoken to Senator McCain about this, and today even. I know he's largely trying to stay clear of the media on this because nobody knows where this is going to go. But what does he think of all this?
Look, I think he's disappointed that anybody who wears the GOP brand would say these kinds of things about service people. He did an interview this morning where he said that the greatest relationships and the greatest inspiration he ever got were people who were also in captivity with him. And what kind of message does this send to those people? He's served in the company of heroes his entire life. And even though he wasn't considering himself one, why would we besmirch the duty and the obligations of the others?
Rick Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you.